there's a Friday, there's a 4 now that post fall, so I'm gonna try to make that too.
It's a Saturday.
Saturday, that's it.
Yes.
First thing I'm gonna make that. See if it doesn't show up.
We're on at 5.
You're live in 5, 4, 3.
Good evening. Welcome to the Coeur d'Alene City Council for May 2nd. The first item on the agenda is the roll call. The clerk will note that all council are present. We have next an invocation, but we have no one scheduled for tonight, so we'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll ask Woody to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, we have a proclamation regarding bicycles. I will read the proclamation. Whereas for more than a century, the bicycle has provided an independent form of transportation for many Americans, and whereas more than 100 million Americans engage in bicycling today for fun, fitness, sport, recreation, and transportation, and whereas the use of bicycles for transportation and recreation benefits all citizens of Coeur d'Alene, and whereas the City of Coeur d'Alene has worked steadily to encourage bicycling as a healthy mode of transportation and recreation, and whereas each year the City of Coeur d'Alene and the League of American Bicyclists recognize National Bike Month and promote bicycling events like Bike to Work Week, now therefore I, James Hammond, Mayor of the City of Coeur d'Alene, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2023 as Bike Month in Coeur d'Alene and encourage all citizens to ride their bikes to work during Bike to Work Week, May 15th through 19th, 2023. And I'll present that to Monty.
Oh.
You guys, and thank you for your work on making sure we are more bicycle friendly. And as I now bike more around, I'm noticing, boy,
No one can hear you.
go away. Thank you. And you were going to make a short.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members, and really the purpose of this is after a 5 or 6 year gap of not having Bike to Work Week because of various staffing and COVID and all kinds of things, we're reinvigorating as part of the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. So we're encouraging people to bike to work, to school, to errands, for pretty much anything, and that's what we want to encourage, is for all of our workplaces and employers to encourage their employees to bike to work, make it easy on them, give them incentives. And we've been out doing a lot of work around town and with our sponsor partners to encourage that. And so we can go to the next one, yeah. So you've already touched on part of it with the proclamation, but bicycling has lots of benefits, mostly physical fitness, clearing your mind. I commuted to work on a bicycle for 25 plus years, and I had leadership positions. You just have to make it work. Many people can say, well, I just don't know how I'm going to do it. And I think the mantra needs to be, how can I get this done? And it becomes pretty easy once you figure it out, whether it's clothing or leaving a car at work or having changing facilities. So I just encourage, and the committee encourages everyone that can ride to ride if they can, and however often they can. It's a great thing. So whether it's fuel savings, whether it's environment, whether it's physical fitness, and then we encourage everyone to be safe and do it in a safe manner as well. So we've created a bunch of activities for the week of Bike to Work Week. So we have a kickoff breakfast that's in the Wilbur lot right across from the resort. The resort's partnered with us, and so it's a complimentary breakfast to anyone between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. on Monday morning, the 15th. So, and no one will be denied. If someone walks up, they're more than welcome to have a complimentary breakfast with Doma coffee. And then on Friday morning, Bike to Work Day, we'll have Energizer stations around town from 7 to 9 in the morning where folks can stop in and have a cup of coffee or a drink and a snack. And then that evening, from 4 to 7, we'll have live music and a free beverage and a happy hour spread at Tap House Unchained. And it should be really fun. We'll have demo e-bike rides, raffle prizes that'll be given away, and then just be a fun time for anyone that rode their bike to work on Friday or chooses to just stop by on their bicycle that afternoon. So this is a list. We've put together some community rides. We've had some city partners that have really stepped up. Steve Jones from the fire department is going to do a firehouse ride. And even though the date says the 13th here, it's been moved to the 20th because his son made it to track state finals, so he had to move that. But we're going to go from Firehouse 1 to Firehouse 2 to Firehouse 4. They're going to let families get on the fire trucks and ambulances and do a little safety clinic. We have the music conservatory in on the mix. They're going to have a presentation that night after a short ride of the children's choir. Bicycle Collective is doing a clinic and a ride. So we've coordinated a bunch of community rides throughout the month of May that families and bicyclists can participate in. That should be a lot of fun. And then the library here, Cheryl Lee in the children's library, she's going to have all her story times revolving around bike stories. So if it's been a long time since you've heard Curious George rides a bike, feel free to stop in and share and listen to a story. And the Bike Collective donated a couple bicycles so that as part of the scavenger hunt the Children's Library does every month, they'll give away a couple bicycles that Tom Morgan and the Bicycle Collective have donated. And then I know a local artist at Emerge came up with our design for our posters and our T-shirts, and those T-shirts are for sale. And we're having them produced and taking orders, and they're a pretty super cool T-shirt for to promote the event. So we appreciate the proclamation and for your support, and feel free to ride to council on May 18th, 17th, 18th, 16th.
2 weeks from tonight, anyway.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you very much for
Any
your
questions?
enthusiasm as well.
Yep.
We appreciate that.
Oh, let me take this away.
Bike home from work.
Council, I also made a commitment to share with you that, and the public, that I am going to read a proclamation for Pride in the Park. And they asked if I could share that tonight, and I said I would kind of share the gist of this. This proclamation that I will read for that occasion is: the City of Coeur d'Alene has enacted legislation prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity/expression, and all persons, regardless of sexual orientation and gender identity expression, shall enjoy all the full benefits of citizenship in the City of Coeur d'Alene and should be afforded equal opportunities for employment, housing, commercial, and property use of public accommodations and hospitality. So I will be reading that when they hold their event in the park. Any announcements from the council? Yes.
I have a couple. A couple of meetings ago, we had a gentleman, Mr. Fillmore, that part of the group concerned about the Dark Sky Initiative and all of that, and I volunteered to kind of be the liaison. So had a meeting with him, and he sent some sample ordinances from other cities that, going to take a look at. So I have followed up on that, and you will see something come forward that at least can look at some suggestions. The other thing is, on our Association of Cities, newsletter and things we got a few weeks ago, had gotten a notice about crisis intervention training that City of Meridian and their police department does down there, and they've created a crisis intervention team that the primary people consists of a sworn officer and then a licensed therapist, and it was a good, lengthy training. We had one of the assistant city attorneys that was there, and I can see the real potential for, I mean, we know what an issue mental health is these days and the crisis. And a lot of times, I mean, our police are asked to respond to situations where, I mean, they're not really trained, and we just don't have that kind of manpower to go around, because sometimes they can be very, very involved and lengthy, and these teams, and they've done it down there, they've done it in a lot of other cities, and they get set up and they get called to situations where there's, tension on that kind of thing, sometimes potential if there's, somebody looking at a mental health hold, and a lot of the time that they spend, which I could see would be really valuable, is that for people that they've already kind of dealt with and they follow up on and do some prevention. So I am going to, I haven't had a chance to talk to our PD, but I want to let you know, I mean, it's something that I think we really should take a look at, because it's worth the time and the investment. And so anyway, that's something that I will dig into.
Thank you. Any other? Yes, Woody.
I would just like to remind people to make sure they go out and vote on the 16th, and hopefully we support our school levy. It's kind of important, it's part of our history and part of our culture here.
Okay. Anything else? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, yesterday I got my new sewer bill. And I just wanted to remind people that we did change the rates recently, so my bill was considerably higher because I am on the reduced plan. We don't use a lot of water, and so in order to not have my rate be subsidized by other rates, a lot of other people who have that lower rate will see it jump up. And that's just fair, which is why I supported it. So be on the lookout for that this month from your sewer bill. And our sewer plant does amazing things. We are not in trouble because they do such a good job processing all that stuff and getting it good when they put it into the river. It's actually a tremendous bargain when you look into all the details. I also wanted to mention something, Mr. Mayor. You talked about Pride in the Park. We know that a lot of events are coming up this summer. And one of the things we talked about last summer was how it was kind of unfair that the burden of the taxpayer goes toward funding our public safety, police and fire that are required to work overtime on these events. And I wanted to know, we asked staff to look into that and see if there was anything that could be done with the event fees. And I just wanted to see how that was going.
Thank you. We'll look forward to a report maybe at our Monday meeting. Thank you.
I thought that got canceled.
Our Monday workshop.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, I don't have anything further. I would consider a motion on the consent agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to move for approval of the consent calendar as presented, including Resolution 23026 and 23027.
Second.
We have a motion second. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, will the clerk take the roll, please?
English,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Miller,
Aye.
McEvers,
Yes.
Gookin.
Yeah.
The motion carries. We'll move on to public comments.
Anybody?
Okay, Justin O'Connell.
Good evening, Council. I think I might need these tonight. Agent J with Central Planning, elected. Guten Abend. I'm an enigma which transcends time and space. My assignment in California, organize the Stalinists in a medical tyranny. They were down. They were super down. I couldn't believe it. I won many planning awards, but my work here is my best work yet. Destroy Ron Paulers. organized the Nazi Mitläufer in a Republican and name-only front we call the County Republican Central Committee, which some compare to the Taliban. They're more like radicalized Bush Republicans. They'll bring freedom to your region like they brought freedom to Iraq. My Central Committee's whites-only loyalty test ensures the subjects have a choice in elections between Christian nationalists and Christian nationalists. We infiltrated the community college board by exploiting a mass mandate in an election. 1 minute you're going for, we're all in this together, international socialism, and the next thing you know, you have a national socialism problem on your hands. My patsies implemented conservative values like enriching well-fed cronies, one of whom said in reference to the first ever black judge in a small southern town, quote, "I hope the color of your skin didn't color your approach to the law," end quote. He was following the party line though. Our Führer, he looks like Mr. Burns, donated to a candidate who tweeted, quote, "White privilege is a thing because Jews pretend to be white when it's expedient for them," end quote. Führer has jokes himself, quote, "Liberals don't like guns because they're black and scary like Obama," end quote. Like all good Führers, our Führer is a writer of sorts. I keep telling him he needs a ghostwriter. I'm like, yo, Führer, it goes hypothesis, supporting paragraph, supporting paragraph, supporting paragraph, supporting paragraph, conclusion. He doesn't get it though. He wrote about the library, quote, "Books dealing with LGBTQ plus issues are available without age restriction," end quote. So, anything remotely gay, the Central Committee is going to rate NC-17 and placed in the library's new room, the Fire and Brimstone room. You must pass through pyrotechnics and the devil sculpture to get to it. Once built, over budget, we ban Marx, Karl Marx, Groucho Marx, anything Marx. Townspeople ask, why are the GOP apostates involved in nonpartisan elections such as the Highway District? We're planning Confederate flag crosswalks. No, Last Supper crosswalks. I like that more. Townspeople ask about the end goal. Quote, "We have identified the enemy," end quote, said one of my loyalists. Who is the enemy? Everyone. You're all deep state. We're going Salem, Massachusetts on y'all. Now, my current clan is getting a little bit ripe, and so I'm really excited for this next generation. One of my bit shooters outlined his vision for the Republican Party, quote, "Instead of advocating for individual liberty, I say let's advocate for a return to regulation of morality. Instead of promoting limited government, I suggest we take absolute control of the government," end quote, and that's putting it conservatively. So I'll be getting him on the ballot soon. Now, as long as the townspeople can keep voting for my apostates, white nationalists, that'd be great. Dankeschön. Sieg Heil. Thank you.
Sean Hawker?
I wanted to clap for that one, Mr. Mayor. Well done.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Just wanted to take just a couple minutes. I promise I will not take my full 3 minutes. Just to stand before you, I feel impressed to say a couple of things. First, thank you. Thank you for all you do. I know oftentimes you don't get thanked enough, and it is it's a tough job, and I really want you to hear from me directly. I appreciate all you do for the citizens of Coeur d'Alene, myself included, with tough decisions that you have to make, and so thank you. Second of all, I want to thank you in advance for your forthcoming conversation in regards to your resolution 28, I believe it is, that is directly related to the school district levy vote coming up in a couple of weeks from today, in fact. And just to reiterate, that levy is a very important levy that we need to get as many people out as we can vote as possible. That levy funds 25% of everything the school district does. Our school district is a very top achieving school district, but we're not number one. We're number two in lots of areas of academic excellence, and we're very proud of that. That places us at the top end of lots of large districts, right? But number one means we've got additional work to do. The passage of this supplemental levy reinstates the existing 25% of our budget that we've had on the books for a long, long time. The failure of this levy will reset all of that, and our pursuit for academic excellence will be deeply challenged. We will have to cut significant programs, reduce significant staff, all the things that we've talked about that I know the community, I know each of you are very well aware of. And so I just wanted to take a minute and say again, thank you, and I appreciate your forthcoming conversation that you've got scheduled tonight in regards to your resolution 28. And thanks.
Thank you. Randy Neal?
Hello, Randy Neal, Coeur d'Alene. I just wanted to read Idaho statute 74-64604. Public funds prohibited unless specifically required by law and except as provided in this chapter, neither a public entity nor its employees shall make, nor shall public official, which that qualifies all of you, to make or authorize an expenditure from public funds or use public property to advocate for or against a candidate or ballot measure. So what you guys are doing tonight and throwing your support behind the levy is actually illegal. I thought you guys would love to know that. I'm sure you guys don't really care that it's illegal. Maybe this is a handshake for you guys' election in November, so you can get the yes crowd behind your guys' campaigns, Councilwoman Wood and Gookin. Either way, the levy is not the dire situation that the CDA administration would have you guys believe. In fact, with Governor Little's increased appropriations towards public education in this last legislative session's budget, they're actually seeing an increase. It's not as cut and dry as they would have you believe it to be. There's many people that are vulnerable citizens in our community that if this levy is passed, then it will increase their rents, make their lives, we all have to live underneath the budget. Why doesn't the Coeur d'Alene school have to live within a budget? They've been living, operating in excess for years and years. That is a fact. But while we're all seeing record inflation, nobody, they wouldn't even entertain asking for 22 or just asking for the same amount, 20. No, that was shut down. It had to be 25. But my son can't even move out of my house and get his own place because most studio apartments in the city cost $1,800. That's a lot for a young man trying to make it on his own to pay by himself. So that's why I've allowed him to remain at home while he goes to school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Kaylee Neal?
First thing I would like to point out is that the school board has 2,000 how much again, Dad?
$25 million levy.
$25 million levy. $25 million. Just think about that for 5 seconds. I literally have had notes left at my house because people cannot stand someone who disagrees with them. So the civil vote yes is not so civil. And by the way, hey, this is not right. Right, just to threaten children that they won't be able to do their school activities when they clearly have the right amount of money, but they just want more than they already have. So they're threatening kids that they won't have their school activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that ends the public comment. The next item is a resolution that was just spoken to, and we'll need to change some of that resolution relative to what Randy said, but we also have talked about this earlier and decided that some of that was inappropriate. Troy?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We put together a couple slides to complement this. So I am bringing forward to you an opportunity for this resolution seeking to have our citizens go out and vote in the upcoming levy. School District number 271 is the 6th largest school district in our state. It's the 2nd largest employer here in Kootenai County, and it encompasses much of the county and serves over 10,000 students in 19 schools and has a graduation rate above 90%. Excuse me. 10-year safety and maintenance levy failed in an election in August of '22 with fewer than 11,000 constituents voting. This represents a voter turnout of about 17%. That levy would have provided funds for deferred maintenance projects, including replacement of aging heating and cooling systems, roofs, water heaters, flooring, sound systems, alarm systems, door locks, and security cameras. An indefinite supplemental levy for operations and a 5-year levy for safety and maintenance were also defeated in March of 2023 election, which saw a voter turnout of only about 28%. The supplemental levy for operations and maintenance is intended to replace the current 2-year levy, which expires June 30th of this year, and would have provided approximately 25% of the school district's operating budget, as the state of Idaho only provides funding to cover the other 3/4. Operating costs for our school district include such things as the Coeur d'Alene Police Department school resource officers, additional security, services, supplies, textbooks, learning materials, staff training, school nurses, mental health support, libraries, and special education services, technology, software, maintenance, transportation, athletics, extracurricular activities. I would compare if the city needed to cut 25% of its budget, we would quickly be into personnel, being a service business. Following the defeat of the levies in March and in April, the School District Board of Trustees declared a financial emergency. This declaration paves the way for significant operating budget cuts in the coming year. In an effort to avoid those cuts, the school district has proposed a new supplemental levy for 2 years at $25 million per year. The election for that levy will be on the 16th day of this month. We looked at the financial analysis as our constituents would like to know, and of course the school district has said that under the levy that expires on June 30th, $76.17 per 100,000 of taxable assessed value has been added to a homeowner's property tax bill. If the proposed supplemental level is approved, the tax is expected to increase by $19.04 per 100,000 of taxable assessed value for the first year, or 19 cents per $1,000. For a house that's assessed at $300,000, the tax under the current levy is $168 per year. If the new levy passes, that will go up. It'll be $201.25, or an increase of less than $4 per month. If the supplemental levy does not pass, our schools will be impacted, and it could be severe. The potential loss of 4 campus security officers, 9 SROs, 114 elementary school employees, 39 high school staffers, 32 middle school staffers, 28 district office staff, 25 to 50 elementary school employees. So a big impact. We're talking about kindergarten teachers, 16 of those, 16 librarians and library managers, 3 athletic directors, and K-Tech funding. Excuse me. Our community will likewise be impacted as a safe, secure, and quality educational experience for our young people. We would prefer to have their lives enriched and enhanced. So I bring before you a resolution that speaks to asking our constituents to be bold, get out and vote. There's a great deal of information on the school district's website, which is where all this information came from.
Thank you, Troy.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead, Christy.
I think as individuals, we all certainly are free to express what we may or may not do, and I certainly will be voting yes for this levy. Everything Troy spoke about was spot on, and it's exactly what dire circumstances would come about if we do not support this levy. So my vote is yes, and I hope that other individuals will do the same thing.
Dan?
Many years ago, I remember when I was on the school board, And at one point, I mean, this became an issue because there was a point in time when they supported, the school employees and all that, support the levy and all of that, and took resources, and then it was really clarified. And, the way this resolution is written right now, I can't support and don't think it's proper, because we should not be taking a position pro or con, but we absolutely can, and I do, support voting. I mean, I'm an old voting, we need to support the vote, and so it needs some wordsmithing on that, but I think that it is accurate, and we need to respect that, we can't be taking might be something we love, something we hate, but we should not be in the position of using public resources when it comes down to yay or nay kind of a thing on the issue or the candidate or whatever, but yay or nay on, yes, you should gotta get out and vote, yes. And the kind of statistics of our turnout, that's absolutely appropriate to talk and educate the voters, and the school district has laid out different choices that they would have to make, and I remember that, and the whole RIF policy, and you've got to put those things in place. So I think we do have to, if we want to do something, on paper, whatever, we have to, do something different and thread the needle. But I think it's very clear that all of us, support voting, and individually we can express our opinion, but not when it comes down, in my opinion, to use of public resource. Go ahead.
Troy, I just want to say thank you for sharing the facts with us here tonight. I absolutely will be voting yes for this levy on May 16th, and I encourage all of our citizens to do so as well. If you have questions, please go to the Coeur d'Alene School District's website to research the facts. I feel very privileged to have raised both of my kids in Coeur d'Alene. They both went through public education and enjoyed many of the amenities that provided them, from athletics to advanced placement classes to music classes to Sorensen Arts and Humanities schools. So we are very fortunate in our community to have such a strong public school system, and I really can't say how critical this levy is.
Thank you. Well, you have a resolution. Oh, go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to agree with Dan here. This is not the place, and mine is not the position to make a comment on this. They are a separate political entity. And I do have a personal opinion, which I will share later. I do want to say this. A lot of what I like to talk about is jobs. You want employers to come here to offer our citizens high-quality jobs. And when an employer comes to an area, they look at many different aspects of what's going on in that area. And one of the biggest things they want to look at is education. And they want to see that the public supports the schools. And that, that's a generic statement. That doesn't mean that the public is always going to vote yes, but it weighs very heavily when they don't. One of the reasons that we moved here 30 years ago instead of Sandpoint was because at the time they had levies that failed, and that cost Sandpoint. So if you want to see the jobs come here, if you want to see the kids out of your house because they can afford to buy a house or rent an apartment, you need the jobs. And if you want those employers to come here, they've got to see that we have a sense of community spirit and support. Now, like I said, I have private opinions that I'm going to share later, probably in a rant, about what I think is going on, but I do think that it's very important that we all do get out and vote, and it's most important that you make an informed vote. Don't just show up and eeny, meeny, miny, moe it. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a resolution before you, and has been pointed out, and we talked about this prior to the meeting. The last two resolved actually support the levy, but it is inappropriate and by Idaho code for this council and for our staff to be doing any work officially to support this levy election. So if you want to strike those last two resolves and pass the resolution, then it's probably appropriate, because the rest of it is just stating facts and urging people to vote. And I think that's the most important thing that we can do, whether you support the levy or not. The low percentile that voted last time is just not acceptable. We need to get a much higher percentile of people out to vote, so we know truly how the full community feels about this issue. How would council like to act?
I would just move that we skip it and move on to the next item on the agenda.
Is there a second?
Was that a motion?
Yeah, a move.
Yeah, second.
Motion and second. Discussion on the motion.
And not take any action?
No, I mean, I think, speaking to the motion now, I think we all expressed what our thoughts are, and I don't want to get us in trouble.
And I agree.
Well-
I seconded to agree with Dan that I really want to encourage the community to go out and learn how to vote, be informed, contact. There's a number of organizations that will help you if you need to work through the process and get the actual facts. And this levy is extremely important to us. But I feel concerned about, the appropriateness of this, and I personally, as a citizen, am 100% in support of the levy, but this is kind of an awkward spot for us to be in.
Dan?
Well, as I read this, in the very first paragraph under the Resolution 23028, Resolution, the Mayor and City Council of City of Coeur d'Alene urging all citizens to register and vote and cast a ballot in School District 271 supplemental levy election on May 16th, 2023, and I'd say period, and then the rest expressing support for the levy in the school district. I'd strike that to be clear, and then again those final two whereases. So I'm going to vote against this one, and I hope we get a chance to go back and vote for. Well, and I guess I would ask our council, if we made those changes, do you think we're in appropriate legals? Yes. Okay, thank you.
We have motion and second.
Yes, answer.
Further discussion? All those in favor respond with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed with nay.
Nay.
I'm going to go with this Dan's idea.
I would have voted aye.
Didn't get the chance.
Well, then I would make the motion that, and legal can check me here, that in that first paragraph, where it says supplemental on May 16th, 2023, period, and then I think those final two whereases, and hopefully you'll tell me if that does what you think I'm expressing my intent
So-
to support the concept of voting but not taking a position, yea or nay. I think all of the educational facts in there are fine, but
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Dan, could you just, if you just made a motion to encourage everyone to go out and vote, I can support that, but I will not support anything. I just do not want to touch this. So if you just made a motion to say, we encourage everyone to get out and vote in the levy election, I'd be good with that.
Actually, that's the cleanest kind of thing to do, so.
Can I take a stab at it, Dan?
You bet.
yeah, because okay, yeah.
I think what I'm hearing your motion saying, and please correct me, to approve resolution number 23-028, urging all citizens to register to vote and to cast a ballot in school district number 271 supplemental levy election being held on May 16th, 2023.
And in that motion, then, we would be striking any verbiage that expresses support.
Correct.
Is there a second to
That's-
that?
Yep.
Okay, we have a
There's still
motion and a
more to it.
second.
Okay.
Further discussion on the motion.
We could read the motion back, that would be great.
approving Resolution 23028, urging all citizens to vote and cast a ballot in the school district election on May 16th, 2023.
Yeah, without modifying the resolution, I can't support it.
Well, no, that is, I I checked with the mover, and I said, and that means that we're striking the motion or the resolution verbiage that supports the levy.
Gooked no-touch snake.
Is there any further confusion?
Was that part of the motion?
Yes.
So to strike anything that is pro or con
Yes.
towards the vote, just to encourage
Yes.
the vote. So any
To vote.
language in the presented resolution is.
Well, really, it's striking the last
Two.
phrase of the title and striking the last two, be it resolved,
And again,
further resolved.
and for me, I think it's just important to be on the record in that fuller context. I mean, I could live with it, but let's try this. I mean, we've got a motion and a second. And
Okay, will the clerk take the roll, please?
Wood,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Miller,
Aye.
McEvers,
Yes.
Gookin,
No.
English.
yes,
Motion carries. Wastewater.
Good evening, Mayor Hammond, council members. On behalf of the wastewater department, thank you for the opportunity to share the bid results of our solids building improvements project. This project has been several years in the making. You may be familiar with these slides that I'm showing you. This is a view of the addition that we're going to be adding to our present dewatering building. This will help increase the capacity of our dewatering technology. We're also going to enclose this open area, which should help with the mitigation of some of the odors that we find on the south end of the treatment plant. This project became multifaceted and included several different smaller projects to make a larger project. And since these projects required specialty construction, in following Idaho code, the department began pre-qualifications of general contractors for bidding purposes. On April 11th, we opened two of the bids of the three contractors that were pre-qualified. This slide shows the breakdown of those bids. And as you can see, Apollo is the low bidder at $5,441,903. Currently, the department does have the budget authority for this project, and it is a multi-year project, so we will be able to budget accordingly next fiscal year. Apollo has done several projects for us. They're in great standing with the state of Idaho. They presently hold the appropriate public works license, as well as their subcontractors. Since we have the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality's approval for construction, it is staff's recommendation that we accept the low bid and award a contract to Apollo for this project in the amount of $5,441,903. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Questions? Seeing none, how does the council wish to act?
Mr. Mayor, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, okay, I was going to say, Mr. Mayor, I was just enjoying that aroma this morning, and so I will happily make a motion to approve Resolution Number 23029, which is approving a contract with Apollo, Inc. for the Solids Building Improvement Project in the amount of $5,441,903. All that number there.
Second.
Thank you.
I have a motion second, discussion on the motion.
Just under
Ms. Christie.
discussion, Mike, this has been in the budget and strategic plan for a while. This isn't just something that you went out and did last week. This is already budgeted for, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's going to, sorry, Mr. Mayor, it's going to take 2 years to get this all done. So you're going to only hit like $1.5 million the first year, and then the rest.
Correct.
Okay. Clerk, take the roll, please.
Evans?
Yes.
Miller?
Aye.
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Yep.
English?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris?
Mayor and Council, thank you for having me before you today. Instead of requesting $5 million, I'm going to ask you to accept $5,000. So the reason I'm before you today is because, once again, Sunrise Rotary has applied for a grant in which they would fund, in this case, a portion of rectangular rapid flashing beacons for a school. They've done it at a few schools over the years. Last year was Winton Elementary. They purchased the RRFB and foundations, and our crews installed them along with some crosswalk improvements that needed to be done. This year, because of the competition for the grant, there were so many applicants that they decided to fund $5,000 towards it. So we could end up putting in probably $3,000 to $5,000 extra of our own money, which is already in our budget for doing things like this anyway. This just helps the case. I brought up this image here just to show you. This is Woodland Elementary. This is where we have chosen the location. And right here at Versailles and St. Michel Drive, there's a crosswalk right there. Originally, we were looking at this crosswalk on the corner, but parents park in the bike lanes while they pick up the students there, and you can't see anyone crossing there. And so we were thinking it was probably a bad idea to encourage people to cross there. And as we were walking back to our vehicle, we saw flocks of children crossing at Versailles. So we talked to the school district, and they decided that was a more important crosswalk to install it. So with that, I would ask you to approve the MOU with Sunrise Rotary to accept the $5,000 grant for the installation of the RRFBs.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 23-030, approving a memorandum of understanding with Sunrise Rotary for purchase and installation of a pair of rectangular rapid flashing beacons for Woodland Middle School.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, will the clerk take the roll, please?
Miller?
Aye.
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Yep.
English?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to recess till May 8th, 2023 at noon in the library community room for
Second.
a workshop regarding, it's okay, fiscal year 22-23 general fund balance.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, respond with aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We are adjourned. Sorry.